we can act forcefully to deal with the many domestic constraints that have arisen, which must be removed if the economy is to perform at its full potential. The first step in dealing with our domestic problems is to restore macroeconomic balance. Over the past several years, our fiscal deficit expanded to a level which is simply unacceptable. This is partly because of a conscious policy of fiscal stimulation which was followed by many countries. Most countries that followed this policy are now reversing the process. We must do so also. That is precisely what the finance minister has tried to do. He has targeted a reduction in the fiscal deficit of about 0.5% of GDP in 2013-14 and announced continuing reductions of that order each year up to 2016-17. We are determined to do everything possible to achieve this target. I must emphasize that this reversal is necessary not just to satisfy international financial analysts. It is necessary to ensure that the financial savings in our system are available to support investment in the economy instead of being absorbed by government deficits. It is also necessary to bring inflationary pressures under control. Inflation has been a problem, and though it is softening, it needs to be brought down further. We have also taken calibrated steps towards rationalizing the fuel subsidies. Petrol is now fully decontrolled, and that has worked well with petrol prices moving up and down with world prices. Diesel is moving gradually towards market-based pricing over the next few months. The subsidy outflow on LPG has also been capped. We hope that the direct benefits transfer arrangement based on the Aadhaar platform will ensure better targeting of other subsidies, particularly kerosene, and in due course, other subsidies, and prevent leakages. All these steps have sent a message of serious intent on fiscal consolidation, which is well appreciated internationally. Fiscal expansion has led to an expansion in the current account deficit, which is expected to be around 5% of GDP. This is more than twice the traditional comfort level of, say, 2.5%. We can expect some reduction from this level in 2013-14, reflecting the lower fiscal deficit targeted in this year's budget and also the lower subsidies on petroleum products. But this reduction will be modest initially. We must therefore plan to finance a higher than normal current account deficit in our balance of payment for a few years. We financed the current account deficit of over $90 billion in 2012-13 without a loss in our foreign exchange reserves. We will take all steps to ensure that inflows remain strong for the next 2 years. I believe a well-managed Indian economy, seen to be back on a high growth path, can attract continuing capital flows of this order. Restoring macroeconomic balance is one element of economic management. The other is the creation of an environment that is conducive to a revival of investment. The growth rate of the economy is strongly correlated with investment rate. The private sector is the major source of investment in India, but both public and private investment declined in 2011-12 as a share of our GDP. This decline in investment must be reversed. The most important thing we can do to revive the investment climate domestically is to deal with the many impediments affecting the implementation of infrastructure projects. There are many projects that have been stuck either for want of regulatory clearances or in the case of power projects because of fuel supply problem. For a variety of reasons, intergovernmental decision-making has also slowed down. One reason is a hesitation on the part of officials to take some critical decision. It is to deal with this problem that we set up the Cabinet Committee on Investment. It was designed to fast-track regulatory clearances for industry and infrastructure and to resolve interministerial differences at the ministerial level. I am encouraged by the progress that we have made in the last few months by the work of this committee. In the petroleum sector, investments worth $20 billion for exploration and production activities in 40 oil blocks had been held up for many years because of lack of security clearances. The CCI has made a difference. Clearances have been given for 5 blocks. We hope to resolve issues relating to another 31 blocks within the next 2 weeks. I believe the progress we have achieved is particularly significant because these blocks were awarded many years ago, but were held up for want of clearances. In the power sector, issues relating to the NTPC's proposed 2,000 megawatt project in Jharkhand's North Karanpura area have now been resolved. This project, to be built at a cost of rupees 14,000 crores, had been pending for the last 13 years because of differences between the ministries of power and coal. The CCI has also streamlined the processes of granting environment and forest clearances for mega projects. Clearances for 12 coal mining projects have been fast-tracked. These projects would add 37 million tons to our annual coal production. Coal mining projects have now been exempted from public hearing for one-time capacity expansion up to 25%, provided that public hearing had taken place earlier. It has also been decided that no fresh environmental clearance shall be required for a mining project at the time of renewal of mining lease, if clearance was earlier obtained under the Environmental Impact Assessment Notification of 2006. Linear projects like roads, railways, and transmission lines pass through a large number of villages. A number of such projects were getting delayed because obtaining consent of each Gram Sabha under the Forest Rights Act is time-consuming. Such projects are now exempt from obtaining the consent of Gram Sabha, provided that the rights of primitive tribal groups and pre-agricultural communities are not affected, and the state governments have certified that all rights under the Forest Rights Acts have been recognized and vested. This would help enormously reduce the time taken in obtaining forest clearances and would also ensure that the rights of forest dwellers are fully protected.